Over the years, India has been grappling with chronic energy shortages. India's total energy consumption rose from 22% to 36% between 1991 and 2011. While over 300 million people lack basic access to electricity, the new government plans to provide uninterrupted power supply to each Indian household by 2022. Taking this into perspective, the 6th World Renewable Energy Technology Congress was held recently. The 3-day event saw various sessions with experts from across the globe highlighting the growing importance of renewable energy. The inaugural session at the event had various stalwarts discussing the impetus that the new government has provided to the renewable energy sector over the last 1 year and what the future holds for the sector.
Let me invite Dr. Satish B. Agnihotri, former Secretary, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, Chairman Steering Committee, for the welcome address.
It's my pleasure to welcome you to this 6th World Renewable Energy Technology Congress. In the present scenario, there's a huge support for renewable energy in the government. We normally talk about absence of political will, but that's an excuse which is no longer available to us. But then, while on the one hand we have huge political support for the renewable energy program, something else has also changed in the style of governance, is the cooperative federalism, as a result of which now you don't find everyone running to Delhi, but you find Delhi at the doorsteps in the field in various places.
Moving ahead, I would request Dr. Balveer S. Tomar, Founder, Chancellor and Chairman, NIMS University, to address the session.
This is very pleased that this Congress is being held with so many experts from India and overseas participating. I understand that one of the goals of this conference is to take a fresh look at what we should do and what efforts we should make to prevent further deterioration of global environment, which is foundation of human survival and to secure a sustainable future. I am confident that this conference will see dynamic discussions and deliver their conclusions to people around the world so that we can hand down to the next generation a healthy global environment.
Let's get a better insight with an industry address by Mr. Kerry Adler, President and CEO, Sky Power Canada.
I'm honored to be here today because we, Sky Power Global, the single largest developer of solar energy projects in the world, have decided to make India our second home. We have committed 18,000 megawatts of solar energy to this country. So for us, it's not just about coming to a country to make money. In fact, a large portion of the project's profits we make will be funneled right back into this country because that is our DNA at Sky Power.
May I please request our guest of honor for the day, Mr. Nader Patel, High Commissioner for Canada to India, for his address, please.
In one way, I'm sensing that a very, very significant amount of my time as High Commissioner as we promote trade and investment relations between Canada and India is actually has been over the last few months, in particular in the realm of renewable energy. It's a sector that not only is emerging and not only that is the future of India-Canada trade relations among other areas, but is very much the now as well. And there's a lot happening, and you've heard a little bit about that already. A number of Canadian companies are expanding their reach into India in this sector, and we see further great potential and ongoing collaboration building on the success of Sky Power, which is still at its infancy with huge potential going forward as well in the renewable energy sector.
Let me invite the Chief Guest, Mr. Girish B. Pradhan, Chairperson, Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, for his inaugural address.
I am personally, as well as otherwise, a passionate believer in renewable energy. And just to pick up on something Mr. Adler had mentioned, to remind all of us hear what Plato once said, that out of love and poverty are born great things. So we all represent a lot of passion, which is love and poverty we know. So I'm sure that at least in terms of renewable energy, we really have a very, very bright future.
May I please request Dr. Anil Garg, President, World Renewable Energy Technology Congress 2012, for his vote of thanks.
My thanks goes to His Excellency, Mr. Patel. I have to thank my Guru, Mr. Kuldeep Chandra, D.N. Avasthi, Mr. Manglik, Mr. Bora, Mr. Anil Rajdan, Dr. A.N. Saxena, and Sunil Jain sitting here, and finally Mr. Satish, Dr. Satish Agnotri, to whom I have worked and learned many things. So I have to salute each and everybody and thanks for their full cooperation.
This was followed by the first plenary session, which saw experts discuss on the topic Renewable Energy 2030 and beyond.
We are a think tank which is probably as independent as one can be from governmental interests, from business interests. We are funded by philanthropic money, and our mission is to provide sound research and solutions for making the energy transition in Germany and Europe a success. Wind and solar are cheap technologies, but there are additional costs that are triggered when you are investing or when you're deploying a lot of wind and solar in your system. There is the grid costs and there's balancing costs, and you should not neglect them, although they are not, and you see it at this picture, it's an example of Germany, they are not that big. Still, not to neglect them. The big debate, however, is about what we call the utilization effect. And that's nothing else than the impact that wind and solar have on conventional and existing power plants.
It has been said in different numbers, but at the end of the day, ground reality, before we look at 2030, if we look at 2015, is around 300 million people of this country without any source of power, around 400 million people of this country which has not a very stable grid connectivity. If you put together both of them, then it meets some population of the continents and many countries put together. This is the magnitude on which we are on 2050.
I think what has happened is renewable is a necessity now. We are only doing what is possible. With the shoe pinching or without the shoe pinching, that's what we are doing. But nobody is thinking of the impossible. I'll talk about beyond 2030. It may be earlier also. There is a move that in the next 30 years, you can make the grids redundant. I think so that is the technological change which is going to happen in the world around.
In 2030, India will be a majorly transformed country, and the reason for that would be primarily the energy. So what is keeping country poor probably is lack of education and lack of energy to almost 50% of the country, and that's why almost 50% of the country is below poverty line. So the way I see things happening is that probably in 2030 you will have solar and wind combined as the cheapest source of energy.
Various estimates say that in 2030 India will need approximately 750 gigawatts of power generation, right? The numbers obviously go from 600 to 900 depending on whether you believe World Bank or McKinsey or Government of India's estimates, but let's say 750, just for fun. And if you assume that 20% of that comes from renewable energy, that's about 150 gigawatts of energy. In power generation terms, given that renewable only gives you about 25% PLF, that's equal to close to half a terawatt, 450, 500 gigawatts. So just by assuming 20%, you will recognize that India could have 500 gigawatts of renewables by 2030.
Stocks has really fallen. RBI has had a losing start. Markets are looking good. One of the highlights of the event was Chandan Chaudhary of Dassault Systems speaking on the topic Smart Cities, Mission to Reality.
We have started a project in the city of Singapore, and the Prime Minister of Singapore has a mission. They want to develop what is known as smart nation. And smart city is a subset of the subject of smart nation. Now, I just want to leave one thought with all of you. As far as India is concerned, the challenges are very interesting. Opportunities are huge. The first step towards building a sustainable city for citizens is to create a digital twin of the city, a new city or an existing city, and simulate the changes you want to make. Understand the impact of the changes, because the cost of making a mistake in a real physical city is very high.
This was followed by the valedictory session, which saw experts complimenting the stance of the new government on the renewable energy sector.
The global momentum for renewables is accelerating. Next month, the UN General Assembly will accept the Sustainable Development Goals. Significant acceleration of renewable energy deployment is a key part of these Sustainable Development Goals. And so the government of India and the country is to be applauded with its proactive stance on renewables, already moving in that direction with indeed very ambitious objectives.
I'm an electrical engineer, so I love electricity, and I believe, and we are actually in the electrical age. But it's only 20% of total energy. And we have to make electricity by clean technology, by clean systems, which is of course solar, it's wind, it's hydropower. I'm very proud of it. In Switzerland we have 60% hydropower. But it's not nuclear power, the most expensive, the most dangerous technology in the world, in the history. So we should prohibit nuclear power and replace it by sustainable, clean, renewable energy systems. Full stop.
When the program for 1,75,000 megawatt was carved out, there were 4 things that they thought were very, very important. One was land. They said, well, 0.5% of the land is sufficient to get us to more than 1,75,000 megawatt of renewable energy. Transmission infrastructure, they said, yes, we can start planning now. It will take 3 years, and yes, 3 to 5 years we will be there. Then they realize whether there will be enough developers coming in for it, and in Reinvest they found that there was commitments of more than 2,83,000 megawatt against our requirement of maybe 1,75,000. Even if some of them were not that serious, probably we will achieve it. And then everybody was little worried on whether financing would be sufficiently available, because it was a huge program. But if you look at globally also, in last 5 years, sir, the investment in renewable has been more than in conventional power. Similar trend is bound to go now in renewable also, sir. There are bigger players, sir, like Power Finance Corporation, REC, who are funding conventional power, but now they would start funding renewable.
If I may please request our chief guest, Ms. Gauri Kumar, Secretary Coordination, Cabinet Secretariat, Government of India, to come over for her valedictory address.
I'm very happy to say that the seriousness of our intent is reflected in the fact that Government of India has put together a draft RE bill in the public domain for inviting comments, and I'm sure the deliberations in this Congress will contribute useful input to the process. The international participation in this conference gives a platform for learning and sharing the experience of different countries which have made advances in installation of renewable energy systems. We heard Germany, Denmark, the advantage of early entrants, and also the important lessons they have to offer about the challenges in this particular sector, which is the variable nature of renewable energy, its implications for evacuation, measures required for integration of the grid, and a host of other issues.
Years of experience covering the automobile sector. She's one of India's most trusted auto experts, and she gets you up close to the biggest voices across sectors. Join Swati Khandelwal only on Bloomberg TV India.
The three-day event also saw an award function which felicitated excellence in the renewable energy sector with awards such as Global Excellence Awards, Global Sustainability Awards, Global Environment Awards, Global Green Building Awards, and Global Waste Met Awards.
First we have with us Mr. Pashupati Gopalan, Managing Director, Sun Edison. Moving ahead, next we have with us Mr. Vineet Mittal, Vice Chairman, Welspun Renewables. Moving ahead, we have Mr. Rana Kapoor, Managing Director and CEO, Yes Bank Private Limited. We have with us Mr. Nikhil Sani, Senior President, Yes Bank, who will be receiving the award on behalf of Mr. Rana Kapoor. Next we have with us Mr. Sumant Sinha, Chairman and CEO, Renew Power. Ahead, we have Mr. Ashish Khanna, Chief Executive Officer, Tata Power Solar. And last but certainly not the least, we have with us Mr. Anders Granströmer, Managing Director, Scania CV India. However, unfortunately he could join us here today. On his behalf, we will have Mr. Amar Surekha to collect the award for Mr. Anders Granströmer, Managing Director, Scania CV India. The first award for Global Excellence Award 2015 in Renewable Energy Sector goes to Mr. K.S. Popley, CMD, Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency Limited. Moving ahead for the global awards, in the platinum segment, we have Haldia Energy Limited. The next platinum award goes to Bhushan Steel Limited. Ahead, Platinum Award goes to Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, Mumbai High Asset. The last award in the Platinum category goes to Jindal Steel and Power Limited. We start off with the Gold Awards. The first Gold Award goes to Renew Power Ventures Private Limited. The next award in the gold category goes to Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, Well Stimulation Services. The next gold award also goes to ONGC, Corporate Health, Safety and Environment. Our next gold award goes to NIMS University. The next gold category award goes to Petronet LNG Limited. With that, we come to the next round of Global Westmet Awards 2015. In the Platinum category, we have the winners as Organic Recycling Systems Private Limited. Our next category is the Gold category for Global Westmet Awards 2015. In the Gold category, we have the winners as Bhushan Steel Limited. Moving ahead, we have the Energy and Environment Foundation Global Sustainability Award 2015. I'll directly start off with the first award in the Platinum category, which goes to Shree Cement Limited. Our next award, also in the Platinum category for Global Sustainability Award 2015, goes to Windforce Private Limited, Sri Lanka. The next is the Gold category award, which goes to Italian Hydro Electric Power Company Limited, Jindal Power Limited. In Gold category, we have also Bhushan Steel Limited. And the last award, but certainly not the least award for today, is for the Global Green Building Award 2015, which is also in the Platinum category, goes to National Buildings Construction Corporation Limited. With that, that, we come to the end of the awards. A huge round of applause for all the winners of all the global awards this year.